Hello everyone, my name is Aryan and today we're starting with a new series which will be all about plugins development for X-Plane Flight Simulator. So the idea for this series would be to start from the basics and then slowly build the skills and knowledge required to develop more complex plugins. Okay, and currently I have a basic understanding of how plugin development works, but it's not enough. So this is where this video series will also be a learning opportunity for me. So let's talk about today's agenda quickly. So we're going to start with the installation of XPPython3, which allows us to write plugins for X-Plane in Python language. Okay, so I will demonstrate step by step how to get it installed. Then we're going to talk about some of the rules that we have to follow while developing plugin. So in case we don't follow these rules, even if the logic of your plugin is 100% correct, X-Plane will still not register it as a plugin. Okay, so these are crucial rules which we will discuss. Next, we will create a template where we will include some must-have methods. We will also include some good-to-have methods, and this code skeleton will serve as a template for our future videos. Once we have the template ready, we're gonna test few things inside the simulator. Okay, and this is where I would also take some time to explain one very important concept, which is about the order in which the methods are executed. Okay, we'll talk about this later. And finally, I will take some time to talk about MiniPython, which comes as part of XPPython3, and it allows us to test our code inside the simulator directly. So it's like a Python terminal inside X-Plane. Okay, so it's an important tool as it saves a lot of time where you don't have to create an entire plugin just to test one line of code. Okay, for that you can simply use MiniPython tool. I will talk about it in detail towards the end of the video. So that's the agenda for today, and let's start with the first step. So for the installation, I will open the official documentation website for XPPython3, and here you can find a lot of information. For today we are only focusing on the installation aspect of it, but for sure in future whenever we're working on an actual plugin, we will refer this documentation as and when required. Okay, so for the installation you can go to the first page, plugin installation, and here the first thing that you see is the requirement, and there is just one requirement where you have to make sure that you have X-Plane 12 or above version installed in your system. Okay, so just make sure it is installed. And now moving on to the installation steps, it's pretty simple. We have just 3 steps. First is to download the zip file, then we have to extract the zip file in a specific folder, and finally we have to launch X-Plane. Okay, so let's do it step by step. I will download the Windows version of the file, but depending on your OS, you can choose Linux or Mac as well. Okay, so let me just download it quickly. And it's a small file, 36 MB, so it shouldn't take much time. So that is the first step, simple. Next, we have to extract the XPPython3 zip file inside plugins folder inside your X-Plane installation directory. Okay, so what I will do is I will cut it from here, and this is my X-Plane installation directory. This is the root folder for X-Plane, and here I will go inside resources, then plugins, and this is where we have to extract the zip file. So as you can see here as well, X-Plane, resources and plugins. So let me extract it quickly here. Okay, so once the extraction is done, you will see this XPPython3 folder created here, and that's it. That's the second step. Now for the third step, we just have to launch X-Plane and start a flight. So let me quickly do that. So as you can see, I am here on the landing page of X-Plane Simulator, and here you have two options. You can either resume your last flight, or you can go ahead with the new flight. It doesn't matter. So I will just resume my last flight. So as soon as the flight loads, you will see this dialog box where it tells you the installation progress of XPPython3. So you just have to wait for a few seconds. It doesn't take too much time. And once the installation is done, you will see a message here which says that the XPPython3 installation is successful. So as you can see here, and that's it. We can close it from here. Okay, so that is the first step, XPPython3 installation. And just to make sure that the installation was really successful, you can come back to this plugins folder inside X-Plane 12 installation directory, and you should see this Python plugins folder created automatically. Okay, if you have this, everything went well. So that is the first step. Okay, so now let's move on to the next step, and here we'll talk about some of the rules. So for that, again, I will refer the documentation website, and here if we go to plugin development, quick start, skeleton, and scroll down to this section, here they have listed down the rules that must be followed. So the first rule is that the plugin file that we're creating must be named, or must start with pi underscore, where p and I should be in capitals. And also the file name must end with .py, which simply means that it has to be a Python file. Okay, that is the first rule. Then for each of our plugin files, we must have a class named Python interface. Exactly like this, where P and I should be in capital, everything else should be in small letters. And of course, we can have other classes as well, but this class must be present. Then the third rule says that you must have two methods. First is X plugin start, and the second one is X plugin enable. And of course, we can have other methods as well, but these two are must. Then the X plugin start must return three strings: name, signature, and description. Name and signature can be any string. Uh, you can have duplicates, you can do whatever you want, but the signature string must be unique for all the plugins in your system. So this is something which we have to keep in mind. Then we should have three more methods: xplugin start, xplugin disable, and xplugin receive message. So these three methods are not exactly mandatory, but this is more of a suggestion from their side, and we will keep these three methods in our template as well. Okay, and finally, your xplugin enable should return 1. So these are the 6 rules that they have listed down, and there is one more rule which is not given here, but it is explained somewhere here. I don't exactly remember, but that rule simply says that the plugin file that you have created has to be placed inside the, one second, yeah, so the plugin file that we have created must be placed inside Python plugins folder. Okay, so these are 7 rules that we have to follow for every plugin that we create. So that is the step number 2. Moving on to the next step, which is creating template. I will open my VS Code, and here, like I explained earlier, the idea is to create a piece of code which can serve as a template for this video and also for every future plugin that we will develop. So what I will do is I will quickly first write down the entire code, and then we'll talk about the methods that we have used, and also we'll validate whether we have followed all the rules or not. Okay, now before I start writing, I would like to highlight 2 things. First is you can see this samples folder already inside Python plugins. This gets created as part of XPPython3 installation, and if you expand it, you will see many files which demonstrate some of the concepts for XPPython3. Okay, so feel free to go through these files. For me, as of now, these are a bit too technical, but feel free to explore. Okay, and the second point is I am not from computer science background. I'm not from the coding background. So the way I write code might not be the best way to do it. So feel free to improve the code from your side if you feel like it. Okay. For me, the objective here is to make sure that the code that we are writing works, even if it is not the best way to do it, right? Or the most efficient way to do it. So these are the methods that we will keep in our template file. And let me quickly open the rules so that we can validate. And the first thing that I did was to navigate to Python plugins folder and make it as my working directory, so that every file that I create and every modification that I make will happen inside Python plugins, which in turn will be reflected inside the simulator. You can do it in another way where you can develop this plugin in different directory, and once you are finished with it, you can simply copy and paste it in this folder. Okay, so that was the first step that I did. Then my file name also starts with pi underscore and it has an extension of .py. So the second rule is done. Then we have a class called Python interface. Then I have 2 methods, xplugin start and xplugin enable. Xplugin start must return 3 strings. This I have not done it yet, so I will fix it. Xplugin enable should return 1. Again, this needs to be fixed. And finally, we have 3 more methods: xplugin disable, xplugin stop, and xplugin receive. There is a mistake here. Okay. So I think now we have followed all the rules, and this piece of code will serve as a template for our future plugins. So that was the third step where we have already created the template. Let's move on to the next step, which is testing inside the simulator. So in this step, we will do two things basically. First of all, we will see whether the current plugin is being registered or not. And then we will add some print statements inside each of the methods to understand a very important uh, concept, which is the order in which these methods are executed. Okay, so let me start my simulator, and first let's test whether this is working or not. So, as you can see, I've launched a flight in X-Plane simulator again, and if I go to plugins, I can see this XPPython3 option, and actually this has nothing to do with the plugin template that we just created. This happens the moment your XPPython3 installation is successful. Okay, so how do we validate whether our plugin is working fine or not? Okay, so for that, uh, there is this file called XPPython3 log. It's a txt file where all the standard output of the Python plugin that we have created are logged. Okay, so for example, the print statements that you will add in your plugin, the errors that are there in your plugin, all of those are logged in this file. So if I open it right now, you will see that some of the text has been added in the file, and what we are looking for is the name of our plugin file. But for us it says a system error, bad argument to internal function, did not return name, signature and description. So let's see what went wrong. Okay, so I have not added the return. Okay, so now I've modified my file, and the good thing about XPPython3 is that you don't have to close the simulator and again launch it. You can simply go to plugins, XPPython3, and you can reload your scripts. Okay, and now if I go back to XPPython3, it will get updated, and if I scroll down, now you can see the name, signature and the description of my plugin. Okay, so this means that the plugin that we've created is being registered. So that was the first point I wanted to show. That is, we have something called as XPPython3 log file, where all the standard outputs, the print statements, the error definition, all those things are being logged. And whenever we make some modifications, we just have to restart XPPython3 from within the X-Plane simulator. Okay. Now the second point that I wanted to discuss in this step is the order in which these methods are executed. So for that I will add some print statements. So as you can see, I have added xp.log and the name of the method for every method. And let me go back to explain. I will reload the scripts. And now if I go back to my log file and if I update it, okay, let's go from here. You can see that the first method that was triggered is xplugin start. Okay, then we have the initialization, the name, signature and description of our plugin, and then this is where our xplugin enable method is executed. Okay, and that's it. We don't see disable, we don't see stop, we don't see receive message. So by default, when you launch X-Plane, X-Plugin Start and X-Plugin Enable will get executed. Okay, now let me go back to the simulator, and here I will go to plugins. I will go to this show plugin admin option, and here I will disable XPPython3. Okay, I'll go back to my log file and I will reload it, and now you can see that the X plugin disable method was also executed. Okay, so now let me go back, enable it, reload this, and now you can see X plugin enable is executed again. So what did we learn from this? We learned that whenever we launch X-Plane, the X plugin start method is executed first, then X plugin enable method is executed, and then when we disable the plugin from inside X-Plane Flight Simulator, the X plugin disable method is executed. So X plugin start gets executed once when we launch the simulator. X plugin enable and disable gets executed multiple times depending on the number of times you are enabling and disabling the plugin. I will quit X-Plane from here. And now if I load my file again, you will see X plugin disable and X plugin stop. And we also have some errors actually. Yeah. So this is also a good opportunity to explain how I debug my faults. So what I do is I will come to this log file. I will see that okay, the problem is coming from X plugin receive message, right? It takes one positional argument, but 4 were given. So what I will do is I will simply copy this method name. I will go to the documentation. I will come to this quick search, paste it, hit go. It will find the method for me. And then in the description of the method, most of the time, I get the solution. So for this one, you can see here that it takes self as an argument. And in addition to self, there are 3 more arguments, which I have not provided in my plugin. So I will copy it from here, go back to my plugin, and I will paste it here. I will talk about these arguments, what they do in future videos whenever we are exploring this method. For now, we'll only focus on the template creation. Okay, so I have fixed the code, and I will restart X-Plane, and let's just summarize whatever we've learned so far. Okay, so X-Plane is running again. Let me open the log file, and here you can see again we have X plugin start at the start, then we have name, signature and description of the plugin, then we have X plugin enable, and we see X plugin receive message multiple times. Okay, to be honest, I have never worked with this method in the past, so I am not sure exactly why do we have these number of messages. But if I quickly go to the description of the method, you can see that while running X-Plane may send messages to all plugins such as plane loaded or entered VR, etc., etc. Okay, so there are some events in the backend which are happening, and because of those events, the X plugin receive message is executed multiple times. Okay, we will dig deep into this method in the future when we are working on a plugin. So this method is also working. Now, for this step, I think it's important to summarize whatever we just saw. So the first thing that we discussed was that the XPPython3 provides the XPPython3 log file, which contains the outputs from the plugin that we have developed. Okay, it could be the print statements, it could be the errors that we have encountered, etc., etc. Then we started, uh, then we added some logs inside every single method, and then we launched X-Plane. Then in the log file, we saw that the X plugin start method is executed once when the X-Plane is launched. X plugin enable and disable can be executed multiple times. It depends on the number of times you are enabling or disabling from within the simulator. X plugin stop is executed when X-Plane is shut down, and X plugin receive message is executed multiple times depending on the events which are happening in the backend. Okay, so that is the end of step 4. So now let's move on to the final step, which is MiniPython. And I have briefly explained earlier that it's like having a terminal inside the simulator where you can run basic expressions in Python, right? So let's look at the documentation first, and then we will test out few things inside the simulator. Okay, so on their website you just have to go to the tools section, and here the first option is about the MiniPython. Okay, so like I said earlier, it allows you to type in Python expressions and then you can see the results. And then this is a step that you'll have to do. You'll have to move it from the samples folder up into the Python plugins directory. Okay, so let's do it quickly. And this we've already discussed, that for X-Plane to register any plugin, it has to be inside Python plugins folder. So let's expand samples and look for MiniPython. This is the file that we need. I will copy it from here and then I will paste it inside Python plugins. So now when I relaunch X-Plane, or when I reload the scripts for XPPython3, this plugin should be available for X-Plane. Okay, so let's just save it and close. If I go back to the documentation, this we have already done, and this is the window that we will see in a few minutes. And finally, they've also given some codes that we can copy and paste it in the terminal, and we can look at the results. Okay, so here yeah, they're just talking about copying and pasting, and most of the XPPython3 API can be directly cut and pasted into the mini debugger. So it's a really good feature, which we will be using it extensively in the future plugins. So yeah, let me go back to X-Plane, and then we'll test out few things. Okay, so let me just reload the scripts first just to make sure that everything is up to date, and then I will open MiniPython. Okay, so first let's check out common Python tests. So 4 plus 5 is 9. We can also do some print statements. It will print hello. If I do some mistake, let's say, you will also get the error here, so you can debug what went wrong. And now let's test some commands that they have uh, given here. So let's go back to the terminal and paste. Yeah, so you can see it has printed this hello there message inside the simulator, right? So you can see it it is clearly being drawn on the screen. So that was the last step. And yeah, so to summarize quickly whatever we've discussed in the video, we started with the installation of XPPython3. Then we looked at the rules that we have to follow. Then we have created this template with few methods and the name, signature, and description of the template. Of course, this will change for every plugin that we will create, but this piece of code will serve as a template for our future projects. Okay. Then we did some tests inside the simulator where we looked at the XPPython3 log file, where all the standard outputs from the Python plugin are being registered are being logged. Okay, and then we looked at the MiniPython tool, which allows us to execute basic expressions in Python inside the simulator. So that was the first video of this series, and here we have laid down the foundation, and from the next video onwards we will start working on the projects. And like I said in the beginning, that we'll start from the basics. So we'll start from very basic plugins, and then slowly we will build the competency to develop more complex plugins. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today, and see you in the next one.